need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
Jade is writing from Austin, Texas. So Jade, let's dig in and see what's going on. You ask, what can I add to the dining room and living room, such as decorative mirrors on the wall and/or colorful rugs to make the space more visually appealing? All right, Jade, well, let's dig in. Let's look at these pictures here that you've shared. Guys, if you want to see Jade's pictures, if you just want to see pictures from previous shows, head over to our YouTube channel, Affordable Interior Design. Okay, so Jade, you're wanting to know how to just kind of jazz up this room, it sounds like, just in general. So let's talk about the room first. So the room has beautiful high vaulted ceilings. It is kind of a family room or living room, as you call it, that flows into this dining room. It's sort of an L shape, and the walls are painted kind of a gray baby blue. So like a steely baby blue. It also opens up into the kitchen, which has white cabinets and appears to have like beige walls. So one thing I would think about is first, whenever I'm like trying to anchor it with some accents and things, when I'm ready for that step, finding the inspiration piece. It seems like you're using ruby red, navy blue, and those are really the two that I'm seeing, unless you want to consider the wall paint your other color, which is like that steely navy. Now, the one thing that's bothering me about this particular color palette is I don't tend to put red and blue together because they have strong connotations of Americana or 4th of July. And sometimes color palettes that have too strong a connotation, like green and red or orange and black, it can just be very limiting and can make the room a theme room without even trying, which is not always a desired effect. Here, if you really are only using baby blue, navy blue, and red, then it does feel kind of themey 4th of July-y. I would rather see you pop this with, say, a yellow, even though that gets into primary color land, or something else just to diversify it a bit more. Now, in terms of what you need to do to give this space a little bit more life, you definitely need to define the different zones with area rugs. I would put a nice large area rug under the dining table and a nice large area rug under the seating area in the living space. The other thing that I would do right away is, the fireplace is a natural focal point in this space. And the artwork above it right now, you have 3 small-ish art pieces, photographs, it looks like, of your family that are above the fireplace, but it's really not a powerful visual moment. I'd rather see one thing that's a little bit larger. I could even see a circular shape here because the width of the mantle is visually approximately the same height as the space above the mantle, which is essentially creating a square for me, a square of negative space. So I could see a beautiful round mirror there. Now you're saying, Betsy, what am I going to do with these beautiful family photos? What I might do is arrange them in a configuration behind the dining table, maybe adding a few more because they're going to feel a little lost and small on that wall. But say you turned it into kind of a larger gallery wall moment with, I do like an odd number when we're using these pieces. So maybe with 4 additional pieces, making it 7. That could be really cool behind the dining table and still put the family in an area of prominence. The other thing that I would consider is right now you have drapes only on the slider, but next to the slider you have this sort of bay window moment that appears to have blinds but no drapes at all. It's really bugging me that the windows and the slider are so close together on the same wall but are not treated at all the same way. I would consider putting drapes on each of the windows in that bay window area And when you do hang your drapes, you want to make sure that they brush the floor. Right now, the ones on the slider are looking a little like high water pants with that unsightly 4-inch gap between the bottom of the drape and the top of the flooring. The other thing is that your rod has come out past the brackets. So this happens a lot when people hang a rod but forget to tighten the rod on the brackets. So as you're pulling the drapes back and forth, the rod kind of, because it's an extension rod and can be several sizes, grows and grows and grows and gets larger and starts to encroach on the adjacent wall space and just looks sloppy and ill-fitting. All you have to do is there's typically a little screw on the bracket that will then hold the rod in place. So as you're moving the drapes back and forth, it will no longer do that. I also think that when you're switching out these panels, because you're going to be adding more panels and longer panels, do ones with grommets. The tiebacks are not my favorite look. Tiebacks can look dated, they can look sloppy, they can look purely functional rather than beautiful and decorative. They have to be done just right. And here, unfortunately, they are not. Jade, don't write me if you don't want my real feelings, because I will give it to you. The other thing I think you need to do is make your chandelier more of a moment. Right now, it's a little small for the dining area and it's way too high. A light fixture above a dining table should be 30 to 36 inches from the top of the table to the bottom of the fixture. And right now, this is 5 feet from the bottom of the table to the, or I'm sorry, from the bottom of the fixture to the top of the table. Unacceptable. Also, it should be centered on the table, and I'm not quite convinced that it is in this particular image. The other issue that I'm seeing is that the ceiling fan in the family area is brass, but the chandelier above the dining area is silver. We definitely want to get on the same page with our metal finishes. I don't mind that the rod on the slider is black because you can mix a dark metal finish with a silver or a gold, but you cannot mix silver and gold, or as I call them, cool and warm metals. So you need to pick a lane, and I think you have already picked the warm metals with the frames on your family pictures. So now just continue that with the finish of the chandelier because you need a new one anyway, and you will be on your way. So Jade, I know it sounds like a lot of work, but it will be worth it because the architecture is so beautiful and because Austin is hot, hot, hot right now. And I'm not talking temperature, even though I'm sure that's the case. I'm talking real estate market. So get this place looking snazzy so you can live in high style or you can sell it for a high price. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.